We're going to add an icon bar to the bottom of a page. So we are going to download my profitable web design business to our lesson 10 folder. And then we're going to go ahead and open that up and take a look at it so you are familiar with how that looks. And you can see it's got some pull down menus. And if you take a look at the source code, this should look very familiar to you because you have been doing similar tasks for the last 3 exercises. Okay, so in your lab assignment, you're going to have to convert your assignment page into a pull-down menu. And if you wanted to copy this code, you could. This creates actually a really nice pull-down menu. But what we're going to focus on is adding the icons in their own little menu bar on the bottom. That is our task. So I'm going to go into VS Code and I'm going to open up my profitable web design business. And I'm going to pull it over here. We'll resize it a bit here. Okay, and then I'm going to add code for the font awesome icons. So at the very bottom of our page, okay, you'll see an opening and a closing footer. And this is where we're going to add the icon information. So we'll have a little div tag here with a class set to icon bar. And we're going to have to do some formatting for this. And then we are going to give a web address. You can actually use mine for this, but for the lab assignment, you're going to want to put your own in here. Okay, and if you guys remember, your web address is the same as mine, but your NMC username is after the slash. So yours is very similar. Okay, and then between the opening and closing, this is where you give it the font icon or font awesome class. And this class is how you pull in the icon. So how in the world do I know what to put there? Well, if we go to the Font Awesome website, it basically tells us if you find an icon you like, it'll tell you what class to use. So if we come over here and we go into Font Awesome, and it literally has fonts for everything. Okay, that looks like a car air freshener. It's amazing what they have fonts for. Okay, so now it's just showing us the latest ones, but you can also do a search on a font. So if I wanted to look for Instagram, here it is. So I click on it. Okay, so here it's got the entire tag that I need to stick in. Okay, so here I've got one for a home icon. And then I'm going to add a couple more here. So let me minimize this, and I'm going to pull this over. So for my next one, this is my Pinterest site. And again, if you guys don't have one, you can just use mine for this assignment. It's perfectly fine. If you want to change it to your own, that's fine. And then in between the opening and closing anchor, this is where the I class equals goes. And we just have a couple more. So I've got LinkedIn, I've got YouTube, and I've got Instagram. Okay, and I'm pulling in those Font Awesome classes. Now, anytime you use Font Awesome, in order to get those icons, you actually have to pull in the Font Awesome library. And you do that very similar to linking to an external CSS file. So in between the opening and closing head tags, we have to have this link for Font Awesome. Okay, and what I normally do is just find the link and I copy and paste. So I'm giving the link to you, but if you don't remember what the link is, all you have to do is Google Font Awesome link, or you can even go to the site and they should be able to point you in the right direction. So at this point, this HTML portion is done, but I don't have any styling yet. So I'm going to add the styling to this internal style sheet. And everything I did was down here in the footer. Now, by default, the footer displays right below the content. And I actually want my footer to be down a little bit more. So I'm going to throw a fairly large margin on top of the footer. So I'm going to do a margin top 200 px, and that will move the footer down so it's not right up against my content. And let me save this and show you what this looks like, because you definitely need to do some styling for this icon bar in order for it to look good. All right, so down here, this is my icon bar. So as you can see, I've got little itty bitty weeny icons. The colors don't look good in the page, and it really doesn't look much like an icon bar. So there is a lot of styling I need to do to make this thing look decent. So back to VS Code. So first we are going to style the icon bar class, because if you remember, we set the class equal to icon bar, and we have no styling for that. So we've got dot icon bar, and let's make the width 100%. So it's the width of our page. And since we've got kind of an orange theme here, we're going to do the background color in dark orange, my favorite color. And then we're going to set the overflow Do auto. So if by some weird chance there wasn't enough room for everything to display, we would get scroll bars. I don't really anticipate that being a problem. Okay, so let's save and let's reload. Okay, so it's starting to look better. Still, still these individual little links need a little formatting. So what we're going to style next is the anchor tags that are inside our icon bar. So we've got dot icon bar, space A for those anchor tags. And let's do a text align center on them. Let's change the width of each one to 20%. Let's save this and just take a look. Okay, nothing yet. And then let's do a float left so that the links are side by side. Let's set some padding. And we're going to do 12 pixels on the top and bottom, and then 0 on the right and left. Let's save that again. All right, so now it's starting to look a little bit more like an icon bar. Let's change the color to white and save. So this is one thing you need to remember about these icons. They are affected by the font color. And let's increase our font size to 36 pixels. Let me save that. Okay, so you can change the font color and the font size to impact how these font awesome icons look. And then the last thing I'm going to add here is a little bit of animation. So I'm going to say transition all, 0.3 seconds, and ease. Okay, so what am I transitioning to? Icon bar, A: hover. So when we point, okay, that's where this animation is going to take place, and the background color is gradually going to change. So background color is what we are changing. And we're changing it to black, and it's going to happen over a little 0.3 second period. And let me save this and reload. And you can kind of see it does not change the color right away. There's like a little lag. I mean, if you wanted it to be even slower, instead of 0.3, you can just do 3 seconds. Okay, so that is what transition is doing. Okay, I'm going to change mine back to 0.3, but by all means, if you want kind of a slower or a slower, faster transition, totally up to you. 3 seconds would be much slower than 0.3. 0.3 is pretty fast. It's almost like blinking. Okay, but that is the last adjustment that you have to make to this. So if everything looks good, you can save and close your file.